I found a chess bot that's dumber than Martin. You heard me right. I found a chess bot that's dumber than Martin. I didn't think it was actually possible, but I found one. And these games that I actually played against this bot and several other of its relatives is absolutely insane for the most part. Like, you will not believe how crazy this is. So let's get into the video and let's start. I'm the Comeback Kid. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, so the first game that we have here is the Comeback Kid versus the Master Chess Bot Star One. So actually, the way that I found this bot was I was going through like the Google search engine and I was just searching up like chess. I just searched up chess and this website popped up, calculators.org, and it had this chess game, kind of like an extension called Master Chess. You should probably check it out. I'll put a link in the description. But it had three different levels of computers, and all of them are equally as bad, but not as bad as this one that I'm about to show you here. So this is the first game where I'm playing against the Master Chess Bot. So I start out with knight to f3. It's my typical opening that I use, but I like it because I think it's solid. It's kind of an intro into the Catalan, which I'll go over later in another video. Master Chess Bot Star 1, which is the very first level of this bot, opens with the ridiculous move pawn to c6. I've never seen something quite like this before. At first, when I was playing this, I was like, well, I mean, maybe it's a good move, maybe I really don't know. But I continue developing my pawn, and then we have pawn to a5. Pawn a5. I'm not sure what he's planning on doing, if he's planning on pushing these pawns on this side. I have no idea. But anyway, I decide to continue with my development, and we have the first mistake of the game, pawn to c5, just straight up blundering a piece. And of course, I take, because it's a free piece. Why wouldn't you take, right? So this bot is already starting off very, very terribly, and I'm not sure it's going to get any better from here. We have the next move, pawn to e5, blundering yet another piece. This is ridiculous. And I mean, I seriously thought Martin was bad. Dude, this bot is way, way worse. So he takes that pawn that was hanging, alright, which is completely reasonable. Any beginner would do that, and frankly, I think that's the best move in this position if you're already losing. It's completely terrible. I continue my development, and then we have the strange bishop sack. What? Bishop to f2. Not only taking my pawn, putting me in check at the same time? What was this bot thinking? Clearly the pawn was defended, so I mean I just took it. Even though it messed up my position, I can no longer castle. It's a free piece. I'm up 3 points of material. It was terrible. Then we get knight to f6. I decide to put my rook on this file so I can manually castle, kind of get into that castling position. My king side is already kind of ruined, but at this point I'm up material. I really don't care. And then we get the terrible, terrible move, knight to d5. This is absolute garbage, ladies and gentlemen. This is nasty. I don't know what to say. This is terrible. Like, you don't see this kind of chess anywhere. This is terrible. And the next move, frankly, my friends, this next move is horrendous. What is this? Rook to a6? Are you kidding? We're not playing checkers, people. What is this? That's it. The game was over in 10 moves. This was ridiculous. But just you wait till Martin plays this guy. But seriously, this bot was so terrible that I couldn't even begin to comprehend what level of substances this robot has been taking. I have no idea. So let's go on to the next game. That first game was terrible. Next we have the second level of the computer, which is called the Master Chess Bot Star 2. It had like a level system of stars, so it would be from 1 to 3 stars. I guess indicating easy, medium, and hard difficulty. I don't know, but according to this game, we'll see that this one is rated a bit higher at about 750, but we'll see how it goes. I feel like this game that I'm about to show you was way better than the first one, but let's find out. And for some reason, this website only lets you play the computer as white and not black. I am not sure why. I think that's just how it works. So I start off again with knight f3, and then we have pawn to e6. Not a bad move, because I mean it kind of threatens a weird scholar's mate for black in some sort of way, like this, threatening this. It's good. It's not bad, but I mean there's better openings out there. I continue with pawn to d4, and then we have the first horrible move of the game, queen to f6. Now for all of you beginners out there, moving the queen, like the second move of the game, is generally not a good move. You don't want to do this when you're playing uh, chess games because the queen can be easily targeted, and that's what happened in this game. As I continued development, but later on, I was planning on attacking the queen. We have the weird move knight to e7. It's not bad, but I mean, I guess it's the only move for the knight since you don't want to go, my bad. You don't want to go here. That's just not a good move. I continue with bishop g2, then we have knight to f5. Again, knight to f5 isn't really bad, but it's not good either. You shouldn't be moving your pieces twice during the opening. Instead, maybe a better move would have been like pawn here, uh maybe pushing your knight again, pushing this pawn, maybe fianchettoing and castling later on. But no, we just get knight to f5. It's not bad, but it's not good either. I castle, bringing my king to safety. And then we have the weird move queen to e7. Apparently, black decided to retreat the queen for no typical reason. The queen was not bad on this square. I mean, sure, it could have been easily attacked by the bishop and other pieces, but I mean, it's an okay move compared to the other bot. This guy is playing way better. Trust me. I decide to kick out the knight with pawn to e4, forcing him to retreat, probably over here. Uh, yeah, I think that is the only move for the knight to retreat. Wait, yeah, see, I was right. I continue my development with knight to c3. Then we have the weird move pawn to a5. We're starting to see similarities with the first bot, star 1. Not too terrible, but not that great either. Then I kick out the knight again with pawn to e5. Now I think the only move for black to save the knight in this case would probably be knight here, and if I kick out the knight, it would be knight here. So as we can see, we're bullying the knight a lot, right? This position is not ideal for black, but it is a great improvement compared to the other bot that I played against because it has survived nearly 10 moves so far. So yeah, of course we have knight to c4, and I kick the knight out with pawn b3, forcing the knight to go back. I continue to develop my pieces, which is always a good thing to do in chess. In fact, I remain in total control of the center. I mean, black has some control of the center, but it is a little bit overpowered with white here. Uh, Nearly all my pieces are developed. They all have a role to play. Whereas if we look at black, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4 developed pieces. A terrible position for black's knight, which used to be here, ended up somehow all the way on the other side of the board. It's crazy stuff, I tell you. We have pawn to h6. Not a bad move. I can see maybe this, this in the future. It weakens the king side, but at least you're developing pieces. Then I continue with pawn to d6. No, d5, my bad. I'm not very good with the coordinates. Forcing a trade. Although black doesn't necessarily have to take, although knowing these beginner bots, it's going to take. So I take back with the knight. We have an exchange, a poor exchange, but still an exchange. At least black got rid of that knight that was literally stuck there. And now we have the strange move queen to b4. I'm not exactly sure why black decides to move the queen here. I mean, if anything, I probably would have pushed the pawn to bring out the bishop and then maybe free up the queen later on, or even propose a queen trade. I mean, at least proposing a queen trade would help develop black's pieces, but we just got queen to b4. So of course I kick out the queen with the move pawn to c3, and as we can see here, black's queen is already limited on the amount of spaces that it can go. If you can see here, black's queen can only move to these safe areas that I'm pointing right here. That's not a lot of safe spaces for black's queen. And if black continues to mess around with the queen, it's going to get it trapped. And we don't want this to happen. So of course, instead of probably retreating the queen to safety, black continues to put his queen out in the front of the battlefield. So we have pawn to h3. I don't like the fact that I'm weakening my king side here, but I do want to kick this queen out because it's literally bothering me. Then we get the move queen to g6. Now here, I could have probably maybe continued harassing the queen with a knight move, but even then, the queen really has no mobility, because if we look here, the only moves that the queen has is here, 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 and here. Of the best being probably this move. However, I decide to attack the knight. And we actually forced the queen to retreat to the square, which is not a good idea for black. Instead, black should have really gone here, because then that would have forced me to protect my bishop. Yeah. I have no idea. But anyway, I continue to attack the queen with bishop to e4, forcing the queen to either move back or push the pawn. So we get a pawn push. Now I continue to develop my pawn, actually to unleash a very sneaky attack, which is later on pushing this pawn to get a free queen. And you might be wondering, well, wait. Oh, my bad. I said queen instead of rook, my bad. Alright, so yeah, for those higher rated players that are watching this, this doesn't look like it works, right? Because then we have something like, let's say if this pawn takes, my queen would be under attack. But the interesting part is uh, later on we could probably do something like queen back. And this could actually threaten multiple things. Like, for example, if black moves their rook to safety, we have a strange knight sack, and then takes, 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 takes. There's a big trade here. I don't know if y'all can see it, but yeah. Anyways, we have the weird move knight to a6. I would have preferred something like knight here, knight to c6, at least developing your piece, because sure, the knight has some mobility in this case, but not a lot. Anyways, I go here to kind of initialize that plan where if I take and black, oh, and black takes, we have a bishop check, and that's a fork on the king and the queen, forcing the queen to either take or the king to move, and we take back with the queen. That was my original plan that I was talking about earlier, but I guess it doesn't work if black moves the rook over. But anyways, we get a nasty fork here, although it's not bad because it's still a trade. And then we have the move bishop to c5. Not a bad move, but it's not necessarily a good move either, since we can always have that bishop block and everything will be fine. And either way, there is no attack here whatsoever, it's just developing the bishop. So anyways, I continue to push that pawn, initially revealing an attack on the rook. Now here's where things get interesting, at least for white. So we have rook to f8. It's not a bad move, but I think a better move probably would have been rook here, so that the rook is eyeing down on the same file that the king is. Later on, moving the queen to create some sort of attack later on. However, this is kind of a mistake as we have pawn to d7. This not only leads to discover check, but a double check with the pawn as well. So the most common, or the most logical response would be for the king to take the pawn, and that's exactly what happened. And now our attack begins with rook to d1, forcing the king to cover and protect itself with its own bishop. This is crazy stuff. Now, I decide to win the bishop by pinning it to the king. The bishop cannot take because the rook is attacking the king. And now we have the horrible move made by black, which is this, because now you completely lost the bishop, and now I'm just hunting you down. Our king, or the black king in this case, is stuck in this area here. Its only escape square is this square right here, leaving it to have to run away in order to prevent itself from being checkmated. Now in this sequence of moves, I decide to put the bishop here to unleash a discovery attack on the black king, which black clearly does not see. This is an incredible move because not only does it put the black king in check, but black is forced to go to this remaining square, and I took a pawn for free, opening up black's position here. Now, black really needs to be careful here, because later on, if I intend on opening up this area here, there are big checkmate threats. However, black made the worst possible move in this position, which is taking this pawn that was hanging, because this in fact blunders mate in 1. Crazy stuff, but surprisingly, this bot is probably the best one out of all of them because it lasted the longest with 31 moves. Now let's move on to the third game, which is supposedly the hardest bot in Master Chess. Master Chess Bot Star 3, with a rating of about 850, which is your average chess player, or common chess player, I guess, a noob. I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah. So I begin again with my sequence of opening, and we have, oh no, no, not again, not again. Oh my god. We can see this one is closely related to Star 1. Because here we have the terrible move, pawn to c6 again. I don't get what it is with these bots. Queen a5, ladies and gentlemen. Queen a5. Not sure what it does. It puts me in check, sure. I guess this bot really likes attacking me with its queen, but just helped me develop. Another queen move helped me develop. Another queen move helped me develop. Another queen move. I'm attacking the queen and the pawn simultaneously. Another queen move. Yet another queen move. I'm looking here, and it looks like black has moved the queen nearly 7 times in a row. This is insane. Finally, after those 7 queen moves, black decides to take a pawn. I take back, threatening this fork on the king and the rook, which black sees, but now can no longer castle. If anything, the best move that should have been played here was probably knight here, preventing this from happening. Although, either way, this wouldn't be able to prevent it since I could always take with the bishop, and then black has to take back, and then, well, that rook is lost. So black is already up to a horrible start. It's lost its only protection here on the king side, or the queen side in this case, c7. Its queen is literally stuck on the edge of the board here. None of its pieces are developed. It's starting to look worse than Star 1. But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the 10th move. This bot surprisingly outstanded Star 1 by a mile. I put knight to e5, exposing a threat on the queen and actually trapping it, as the queen is now gone. There is nowhere the queen can move to protect itself. If you look, you see all these squares are protected by white. Wherever black's queen moves, it gets taken. So what does it do? It tries to run away, but there's no point. I do like this move, however, as Black's rook is now eyeing down on the king's side, which is a good for an attack later on. We have queen to d2, which for me is eventually planning to put this queen here and potentially threaten mate. We have pawn to a5. I seriously don't know what it is about these bots, but for some reason they love pawn a5. Ladies and gentlemen, these bots need therapy. Pawn a5, it's not a great move. It really isn't. Again, continuing with my attack, and we have at least the first brilliant move in this entire series of games that I've been playing. Knight to c6, preventing me from putting my attack on the black king. That was the best move that I've seen literally all day playing these games. So I decide to fork the rook and the bishop to at least get in on some action. The rook moves over, and before I wanted to take this knight away from this position, maybe to open up black's side later on. And yeah, although black should have taken with this side, because not only would he be exposing a threat on my knight, but also on this entire file here. And now we have rook to d1 exposing a threat on the black king. Black is forced to move over. And if we look at black's position, it's just completely terrible. Black is missing a queen, a knight, has horrible development, whereas white is free to move wherever it wants. Now, I made this move kind of as a troll for content because I wanted to see whether it would take the knight and not hang mate in one, just for content. I knew it was a blunder, but I played it either way. Don't play this move when you're playing real games, kids. Yeah. So I decided to put my queen here to attack the rook and potentially open an attack. However, we get another brilliant move, which is bishop to d6, because not only does it attack my rook, but it prevents me from applying any checkmate threat whatsoever. So, I reasonably just take the pawn that was hanging and give a trade. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this is the worst blunder we have seen all day, because now where it could have been at least a fighting chance for black is now all over, because black, without realizing it, has just hung mate in 2. And how? We have check. The only move is bishop block and mate, which is exactly what happened. This is crazy stuff. My advice, if you want to play against these robots because you've been having a horrible time at chess lately, please do so, because these bots are incredibly easy. There's no way you can lose to them. And now for the game that you've all been waiting for. Martin, Chess.com's worst bot, versus Master Chess's worst bot, Starbot 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is equivalent to a heavyweight prize fight, as Martin, who, if you all know, is seemingly the worst computer engine on Chess.com, battles against this even worse chess bot from Master Chess. We see crazy chess action as both bots struggle to comprehend what is exactly chess. Martin plays the white pieces, and Starbot 1 plays the black pieces. Martin opens out with pawn e3. Not bad, as he is threatening Scholar's mate. We then have pawn to g5. A terrible move, as not only does this literally give a free pawn later on in the future, but it really does nothing. Martin, disobeying the chess rules, decides to push his pawn once again. And we have the strange move knight to a6. This is already bad. This is already looking bad. I mean, never have we seen a position like this before. Martin has lost tempo. Black has tempo, but has a weird position. Anyway, Martin decides to potentially fianchetto later on. And Starbot puts his knight in the middle. Why? I have no idea. I have no idea what this accomplishes. Maybe he's attacking that pawn. Now Martin, being the chess meme lord of the entire age of chess, decides to play a bomb cloud. I admire him. I really do. And yet, Black denies the bomb cloud and decides to sack his own knight. For what? A measly pawn. Black brings out his other knight, hopefully attacking this pawn that has been hanging the entire time. Martin, seeing that his pawn is hanging, decides to attack the knight, and Black, being the genius that it is, decides to push his pawn instead of moving his knight to safety and ignoring this whole pawn whatsoever. Until, of course, it has been captured and Black realized his mistake and he takes back. Now, already this is a strange position, as White's king is literally staring at Black's king from across the board, literally waving like, hi. At least White's rook is seeing an open file. Black has virtually no development. It has double pawns. I'm not sure what kind of formation this is. Yeah, this is crazy. We have pawn to b4, simultaneously developing and giving away a pawn. Great job, Martin. But what Martin does next is absolutely insane, as he decides, you know what? I am too good for you. In fact, I am too good that I do not need my own rook to beat you. I mean, this is insane. Martin disrespectfully gave up his rook as he knew that this was going to be an easy win for him. However, the game is still going on, and we have no idea what is about to happen. We continue with pawn c6, queen to c1, I guess connecting the bishop and the queen, which is good. Pawn to d6, and here Martin moves his king to d1, which he now realizes that Black does not want to play a bomb cloud with him, so he's like, oh, well, let me just move my king back to safety. It's the smartest thing that any of these bots has been doing all day. Then we have bishop to f5. Not bad, as it's developing the bishop. But now here we have knight to h3. A terrible move, as it literally just does nothing. Black trades the... I don't even know anymore. This is crazy. And now, Black, unfortunately, made a mouse slip, as he was trying to castle, but unfortunately made a mouse slip and only moved his king one square instead. How terrible this is. I bet Magnus has felt the same before. Anyways, Martin attacks Black's king by sacking it and taking it a pawn at the same time, saying, keep your eyes open. Okay. Martin, still the disrespectful doctor, continues to play without a bishop or a rook, seeing as his opponent only has two rooks, a queen, and about several pawns, whereas Martin has a knight, a queen, a bishop, a rook, and 5 pawns. Master Chess Starbot 1 is up 1 point of material, but Martin has the upper hand. Pawn to d3. I guess developing the pawn. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Black has decided to sack its own queen. As if saying to Martin that, nuh-uh, you're not winning to me. I'm losing to you. It's the stupidest stuff I've seen all day. Martin, instead of instinctively taking the queen, decides to give a check with queen a3. White blocks with a pawn, which does nothing, and Martin takes the queen, saying, a generous offer, since the queen is the most powerful piece, I will capture it. Wow. Black again tries to castle even though it's already too late. And White, feeling sorry for Black, also tries to mimic him. We have several pawn pushes, and Martin, being the brave and valiant one, decides to march his king all the way near the center. Black pushes a pawn that could easily be taken, but Martin, who's suddenly now afraid of pawns, decides to retreat to e2. Black takes the pawn on d3, causing Martin to say, now I have to think. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, when we play against Martin, Martin is your average dad, right? He's just trying to teach his kids chess and have a good time. However, when you start checking Martin, he tends to get a little angry. So he takes back with the queen. And Martin says, you know what? You want to check me? Alright, now it's on. But now, Black, being the valiant one as well, decides to check Black again, saying, White, saying, oh yeah, I'm not going down without a fight. Martin retreats, and now Black decides to push his rook up, which doesn't look bad, as maybe he's trying to double up his rooks in the future, potentially creating threats for White. But this is actually an incredible blunder, as Martin, the genius grandmaster, plays queen to d8, simultaneously checking the Black king and attacking the Black rook. There is nothing Black can do to save his rook, so he decides to block with it, but it's too late. Black loses another pawn, and now White's knight is coming in for the attack. But now Black, secretly looking for one more hope, hopes to push his pawn. Martin gives a check, and Black moves over to protect his rook. Queen to e6 for some reason, and now Black has revealed his true intentions, as he hopes to promote this Black pawn to a queen in the future. However, Martin is not afraid, as he continues to create checkmate threats. Black, for some reason, hangs his rook, potentially drawing the queen away so he can promote. Martin, ignoring the free rook, takes a free pawn instead. And now, Black sacrifices his own rook for a pawn. This is getting insane, folks. But Martin simply attacks the rook with his knight, allowing Black's rook to take another pawn that was unprotected. White's bishop moves in for the attack. And Black here plays rook to f3. Martin is starting to get scared, as now it looks like Black is making a comeback with potential threats. However, Black has lost, as he sacrifices his own rook and is now left with 4 pawns. This game looks nearly over, and it is, as Black has decided to make the worst move in existence, king to h8, blundering mates and 1. Martin never misses mate in 1. Wow. Crazy stuff. But yeah. And this is the story of how Martin, the worst chess bot known to chess.com, has beaten Starbot 1. Thank you for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Get out of here.